So because we're talking about Black Sheep, archetypes, like the family systems that we belong to, and sometimes change isn't always happening, I want you to start thinking about what you see in the moment or in the past. Because a lot of us are just thinking about the past. We don't even see how we are right now. Okay? So if you think about this, I'm going to just ask you here, who are you? Literally, who are you? When you think of your fandoms, who are you identifying with? This could be a whole activity. You could spend hours thinking about this. I know people who are obsessed with their characters and fandoms that they already like. You're already doing this. I just want to name it with a reason for why you're doing it. Some people are so obsessed with the fandoms and the animes and the stories and the comic books, the video games, because it means something so much more. It's not just an activity to do. It's not just a hobby. You're tapping into something important. So what is it? So for me, I'll use myself as an example, right? But first I'll go with this meme. So like, I keep on reading on Facebook. I'm an old lady. I use Facebook. So like, there's this post that comes around every once in a while where people who seek out like astrology, Myers-Briggs tests, Hogwarts houses, BuzzFeed surveys, all these things that give you a survey of identity or personality. A lot of us are seeking it because we feel misunderstood and we're desperately searching for something to fill that sense of identity. I don't know if that resonates with anybody, but it resonates very much with me. Because think about it like this. If people understood you and saw you for who you were, you would not need to search. You wouldn't need to search for this stuff because it's congruent. People on the outside treat you like how you feel on the inside. So you're like, I'm good. People see me. They see my strengths. They nurture me how I need. They communicate with me, which in a way that's important. I don't need to think about what's missing. I don't need to think about why people misunderstand me. And so people who don't introspect don't really need to, because again, their sense of self is probably secure in some way. So for those of us who don't have that luxury, we've had maybe a history of rejection, misunderstanding, being seen as the problem in some way, we will kind of seek that mirroring in the things that we love. So I'm going to ask you to do this, okay? I don't think you've done this or you've heard it, because just think about it. When you think about your loved ones, your friends, really close people that know you, who do they compare you to? Who do they say you always act like? So think about it. And when they compare you, is it true? Because sometimes people will project. Sometimes people will see only a part of you. That's information too. If people are only seeing a part of you, what are you showing? What are you hiding? What do you want people to see if they had to compare you to a different character? What would you have to do differently to show that part of you? And do you think the people in your life would accept that part of you if you decided to show something different? I don't have any answers for this. I'm just naming some things that are coming to mind right now. And then when people name these characters with you, how often are you like this character? Because like going back to survival, now I'm thinking about habit and belonging. A lot of us may tend to behave a certain way to belong, to have community. It's like some people just want to perpetuate a certain type of identity for you and they don't want you to grow. Or it's like, well, I liked you like this. Now you're changing and now I don't like you. I don't know if you ever heard that. You know, sometimes people aren't welcome to their friends changing. And it's hard. It is hard. Like, I know I have changed. And sometimes people are like, you're not the same person that I liked before. You're not the same friend or family member. Like, why are you so serious? You know what? Times change people. Trauma makes you serious sometimes, but trauma also makes you have a really dark sense of humor. And so it's depending. It depends on life experience and adaptation. It really does. So all these variables, all right? I can't name them all, but you can just go back through your life. So I recommend a timeline. Think about like parts of your life. You know, take your time with this. Think about all the roles that you've played. Is there a theme? I'm going to guess that there is a theme. I'm guessing there is going to be a theme. So here's some more things to take on, to try. So the black sheep, again, is something that you use for survival. But over time, as we become adults, it can become a wounded archetype, and it could take over. All right. So again, as a child, we have no control, no power. But as you get older, you start having a little bit more power. All right. It's important to think about that. Like, yes, you do have more choice, more option, more control as you get a little bit older. And in certain circumstances, you don't because of this economy and society. But in general, still more power and control than a child. So these are just things, again, more things to think about. Batman will help me and you reclaim your power. So journal, introspect, take this to therapy, really have safe conversations with people who might better understand what you're going through. Like really is when we get to relate to people on this type of level, it just feels even more comforting and healing because we don't talk about this stuff. It's like, I have no one to talk about this stuff. I'm going to make a presentation on Twitch because this is what I think about all the time. Which is extreme, right? I know it's my own problem. I think about this way too much. But again, think about for you, as you slowly do this stuff, you don't have to be extreme like me, but just think about it. How often do your wounded archetypes take over? So now you're kind of, again, looking at yourself from a bird's eye view. How often are you doing this stuff? Right? How often do you feel like you're wounded? How often do you feel like resentful or angry about things that you didn't get growing up? Just note it. There's no solution yet. It's just being aware. Because again, the whole thing about your identity and your archetypes is about being more aware of the things that are happening when it comes out. And here's important too. It's like a science experiment. When do these wounded archetypes take over? If you start looking at it, you'll start understanding what the triggers are. Who is pissing you off? Who's making you feel so wounded? It might be certain people. It might be certain circumstances. That's information, and information is power. You reclaim power once you identify the patterns and when things happen. And how often is it on autopilot? So this is the thing where a lot of us are just trying to survive. If you're an adult now and you're on autopilot, I have compassion for you because life is hard right now. But think about it. Are there ways where when you're on autopilot, is there something you can do to not be on autopilot? Can you just be like, I noticed that my black sheep's coming out, or any other archetype, right? And I'm feeling very misunderstood, and they're blaming me again for a problem. I know I didn't do anything this time, but they're still blaming me. So like, can you get away from the circumstance that makes you feel like that? Is this a primary lens of the world? So like I mentioned way in the beginning, we have so many archetypes, so many, but because of limitations with experience, how people treat us and their relationship to us, like if an important person treats you a certain way and you feel like you're misunderstood and a black sheep, I'm sure that's going to weigh more than some random stranger treating you like you're the black sheep, right? So if an important person is kind of doubling down and reinforcing this identity for you, is it also a primary lens of the world for you? I'm going to say probably, right? Oh, I didn't know you're here. Extreme. You know what? I don't know what I was talking about now, so I cannot answer that question. Sorry. I cannot define extreme for you. And I don't know when you commented that, because my chat's not moving. My stream was frozen for like the whole hour. Yeah, about that. So again, like I mentioned earlier, we have many archetypes inside, but sometimes one takes over. It's like a house inside your head, right? And there's like a whole house of like 10 archetypes taken over inside your head, but you only give the master suite to one or two, and then everyone else gets like crammed into the closet and they're locked inside or something. I don't know. Like, think about it like that. Like, how many parts of you have you given even permission to show up? So that gives you, like, goes into the next question of who else can you be? Sometimes we don't know because of how people treat us. You could be so powerful, creative, gentle, sensitive, and assertive, but because people boxed you in something, you feel like, no, I can't be anything else. Someone else already told me who I was, right? Someone important to me, or a bunch of important people in my life, told me I was already this. I can't change. Yes, you can. You can totally change, because people can be wrong. Like, as much as you care for them, as much as they loved you, a lot of people can be wrong about what they see when they look at you. A lot of people can be wrong about you based on how they treat you or what they are assuming. It's so much assumption, and that's sabotage right there. So I'm going to lean into a little bit about just who do you admire but think they are too different from you. Because this is about using our fandoms and the heroes that we have to kind of bridge the gap. Like, I love Batman. I will forever love Batman. He's my hero. I've loved him since, like, what, 1992? I don't know how long. I'm old. Can't remember the years anymore. So, yeah. You're not too different from the heroes you admire. There's parts of their identity that you can pick up. There's a reason why. I just want you to think about that. What's the reason? Is it because you admire their ability to do something? Do you admire their, like, bravery, their power, their ability to help people, like, maybe their wealth, like, because Batman's rich, right? So it could be many reasons why you like or admire someone or some hero. Be honest about that list. And again, like, you don't always have to adopt all of them, but I'm sure it's like a value system or something that you wish you could do too. And there's no judgment. Like, again, I would want to be wealthy, like Bruce Wayne. Like, it's not a judgment to want to have wealth, It's just acknowledging the things that guide you to admire someone. It's again, naming the things that are important to you in some way, or something that you're kind of curious about. You don't even want to live out this lifestyle, but because, like, a hero or someone you admire does it, you're like, I wonder if. Like, why not? Why not wonder? Why not? Like, if you live X amount of years a certain way, why not wonder about some other pathway of life?